The ballroom shimmered with golden chandeliers, sparkling glasses, and the soft notes of a live orchestra echoing through the air. Men in tailored suits and women in glittering gowns moved gracefully, their laughter filling the grand hall. It was a night reserved for the elite, a charity gala where only the wealthiest and most influential gathered. But in the middle of that dazzling evening, something happened that froze the room for a heartbeat. A young maid, wearing a borrowed, simple dress that barely fit her frame, unknowingly pulled out a chair marked for the most powerful man in the room, the billionaire hosting the gala. Conversation stopped, eyes turned, whispers spread like wildfire. "How dare she?" some murmured. Yet instead of ordering her away, the billionaire rose, walked to her, and with a calm, steady voice that carried across the hall, said the words that shocked everyone. "Stay beside me. Before I take you deeper into this powerful journey, I want to pause for a moment. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that one act of compassion can change someone's destiny, then please like this video, share it with others, subscribe to Kindness Stories, and let your voice be heard in the comments. Your support spreads light where the world often offers shadows." Her name was Clara Evans. She was just 21, a maid at a luxurious hotel in New York City. Life had been mercilessly harsh with her. She lost her mother at 12, her father abandoned her soon after, and Clara had grown up learning that survival often meant swallowing dignity and carrying burdens no child should bear. She worked 2 jobs, barely ate enough, and still sent half her earnings to support her younger brother in foster care. When the hotel where she worked was chosen as the venue for the grand charity gala, she volunteered to help. It meant extra hours and perhaps a few more dollars to save for rent. What she never expected was to be accidentally mistaken as a guest. Earlier that evening, her supervisor ordered her to carry trays back and forth, filling champagne glasses for the wealthy. Her plain black uniform made her invisible to most, as though she was just another piece of furniture in the gilded room. But after hours of standing, exhaustion made her legs tremble. She spotted an empty chair at the long, decorated table that glittered with crystal and flowers. Her heart pounded with fear, but her body betrayed her need for rest. She lowered herself into the seat for just a moment, thinking no one would notice. Yet that chair wasn't just any chair. It belonged to Alexander Knight, the billionaire philanthropist, a man of towering influence and icy reputation. Gasps cut the air when people saw her sitting there. Women sneered, men shook their heads. Whispers hissed like daggers. A maid in the VIP seat. Disgraceful. Clara froze, her cheeks burning red, her throat closing as shame engulfed her. She tried to rise, but before she could, Alexander approached. Everyone expected anger, humiliation, maybe even dismissal from the gala itself. But when his deep voice filled the silence with the unexpected words, "Stay beside me," Clara's breath caught in her chest. His tone was calm, but his eyes seemed to hold something that unsettled the crowd, a mixture of kindness and defiance. That night, Clara's world began to change in ways she could never have imagined. Sitting beside Alexander was like being cast under a spotlight she had never asked for. People stared, eyes sharp with judgment. Some laughed quietly behind their glasses of wine, mocking the sight of a maid among billionaires. Clara's hands trembled as she clutched her dress, wishing the ground would open and swallow her whole. She wanted to disappear. But Alexander remained beside her, speaking to her occasionally in a low voice, shielding her from ridicule. He even introduced her to a few guests, deliberately making it seem as though she belonged at that table. That one gesture was enough to silence some of the cruel whispers, though not all. Behind his decision lay a story of his own. Alexander, though known as a ruthless businessman, had grown up as the son of a janitor. He knew what it felt like to be looked down upon, to be told you didn't belong. His late mother had always told him, never to forget the dignity of the working class, and in Clara's frightened eyes, he saw the same silent strength he once saw in her. Perhaps that was why he chose to protect her that evening. But for Clara, the experience did not end at the gala. The next day, rumors spread like wildfire. Newspapers wrote headlines, "Billionaire seen dining with Maid." Social media exploded with pictures. Some painted her as a gold digger, others mocked her simple dress. Clara's phone buzzed with hateful messages she didn't even know how people got. She wanted to hide forever. Yet just as despair was consuming her, a black car pulled up outside the small apartment she could barely afford. Alexander's assistant delivered a note. "Meet me at the hotel cafe at noon. I owe you an explanation." Nervous and hesitant, Clara went. She expected scolding, or perhaps instructions never to speak of the gala again. Instead, Alexander listened to her fears, her struggles, her life story that spilled out between tears. He didn't judge her. Instead, he offered her something unimaginable, a scholarship he had personally funded for disadvantaged youth. He wanted her to study, to build a life beyond servitude. "The world will always have voices that try to keep you small," he told her. "But you don't have to listen to them. Sit at the table you deserve." The Clara wept. For the first time in years, she felt truly seen. But with opportunity came new challenges. Accepting Alexander's offer meant stepping into a world she never dreamed of. College halls filled with wealthy, confident students who sneered at her thrift store shoes and second-hand books. Every day was a battle. Yet each time she thought of giving up, she remembered the night in the ballroom, when a man with the power to dismiss her instead chose to honor her presence. That memory became her armor. Months turned into years. Clara studied relentlessly, sometimes skipping meals to afford supplies, sometimes crying herself to sleep out of exhaustion. But she refused to surrender. Alexander quietly continued to support her, not as a savior, but as a mentor who believed in her potential. Slowly, she began to find her own voice. Her essays won competitions, her speeches at campus events drew standing ovations, and little by little, people stopped seeing her as the maid who sat in the wrong seat, and started recognizing her as a brilliant young woman forging her future. Her journey was not without pain. She lost friends who couldn't understand her sacrifices, endured insults from those who doubted her, and battled loneliness on nights when her brother's absence hurt the most. But beneath every trial lay an ember of hope that refused to die. And one day, standing on a stage, graduating with honors, Clara looked out at the audience and spotted Alexander watching with quiet pride. Tears filled her eyes as she realized the weight of his words years ago. "Stay beside me." Because of that moment, she had stayed. Not just beside him at a gala, but beside her own dreams, beside her own dignity, beside the belief that she was worthy of more. Friends, if this story touched you the way it touched Clara's life, then I invite you to engage with it. Please like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Kindness Stories so more hearts can be lifted by tales of hope, compassion, and second chances. Your one action today can keep this light burning for someone else tomorrow. And before we close, I want to ask you for something special. If you were moved by Clara's courage and Alexander's kindness, please comment below with the words, "Kindness changes lives." Let's fill the comments with hope, so anyone who reads them will know that kindness still exists in this world. Clara's story reminds us that one moment of compassion can ripple through a lifetime. A maid sat in the wrong seat, but a billionaire's kindness turned it into the right seat for her destiny. Sometimes, all it takes is one person to say, "Stay beside me,"